So I'll call the meeting to order. First thing is approval of minutes of December 3rd.
I move we approve the minutes from the meeting on Tuesday, December 3rd.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next thing is addition to the agenda. I had three. One is the registrars have a request for a computer. Is their computer had problems, needs to be replaced? That's number one. Number two is a tax refund, and number three is highway department interview schedule, and we'll have an executive session to talk about that at the end of the meeting. So those are the three things we have to add. Are there any other additions?
Well, I saw that note that came in from the gentleman up on Cream Hill. Should that
Right.
be on our agenda?
Well, I've referred that to Karen, so she's handling that because it's more
Oh, okay.
planning and zoning thing.
Fine,
Yeah. Okay?
then we don't need it. Thank
And I
you.
think she's already talked to him.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? So, then, do we get a second to add those three?
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, communications, just like to communicate to the board, thank you for coming out tonight, so we we have a lot to do in a short period of time and trying to get it done before the holidays. And wish everyone out there watching us. Thank Richard for videotaping this, so people don't have to come out in this beautiful summer's evening. Oh no, winter. So anyway, everybody can watch us from the warmth of their home. So anyway, and wish everybody happy holidays.
Yes.
Yep.
Great. So public comment. Public is
No public
not here right now.
Smart public.
Public, and if people do have comments, they can always email us what their comments are.
What's that email address?
CWL Selectmen at optonline.net. So, first item is Food and Fuel Fund. I've been working closely with social service agent Heather Deneen, who's doing a great job in this winter season. We have seen an increase in need for the Food and Fuel Fund, and we have been spending money primarily for food at the food pantry. It's something that we talk about or hear about. It's sort of invisible need, but it's definitely there. We are now, Heather said we are now have, last year we had 30 regular customers at the local Cornwall food pantry. It's up to over 80 this month. So we are seeing a big increase.
Sorry,
in that.
30 from last month? Last year, this month.
From last year's December or last
Right.
year's winter, we were doing about 30.
And this year we're doing 80.
80. So that's sort of what's going on, multi-generational need. And again, part of it too is there have been cuts to food stamps at the federal level, and that plays itself out all throughout the country. So I think especially in this time of the end of the year, we have a lot to be thankful for. But there is going to be a insert in the Chronicle this month in January, but we do need donations because the Food and Fuel Fund is down to a level it hasn't been in a long time. Separate, I'll come back to that, but separate from that, also we do a holiday present drive to make sure that especially young people in town have presents in the holidays, but it's not just gifts. Heather goes out and sees if there's winter clothing that people need, and there's quite a long list of that, and we were going to be short on that, but luckily, as often happens in this special place, somebody came through and said, I'll just take care of it. So that
Great.
was done, and the good policeman at Troop B came by with a truckload of of toys, bicycles and things this week. So the town hall is full of things to be distributed by Heather and her crew this next week. So that's great. But I think also we have a town endowment, and I would like to make a motion that every year we have money to spend, and we haven't spent any this year. We have about $2,000 that we can spend, but I would say at this point if we could allocate $500 for the food pantry, Heather feels that would be worthwhile to do, just to make sure we are able to cover everything we need to cover.
Sounds like
So
a
I'll
good
make a
idea.
motion
Yeah.
and to do that, and I think again that
So the
was
motion would be to allocate 500 to the food and fuel fund?
fuel and food fund from the town endowment.
Yeah.
Second.
And again, we urge people to give generous donations to the food and fuel fund. 100% of that money goes to helping people in Cornwall. There's no overhead other than direct aid to people in town. So,
Can I add something to that?
sure.
So I just have a request from James and Idella at the
Yeah.
Cornwall Country Market. They have been trying to get in touch with Heather regarding a donation that was given.
Sure. Can we talk about that after we do the motion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
But I wanted
yeah.
to make sure that that
Yeah,
was on board.
yeah. So, so anyway, so the current motion is for $500 from the endowment to the food and fuel fund. So any more
Sorry, I
discussion on
thought we
that?
already approved it. Okay.
Yeah. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, good. Unanimous on that?
Yeah,
And
who
then
seconded? What's your first second?
Priscilla.
we're talking fast.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, back to James and Adela. I have talked to a donor and I have talked to Heather, and we're
Okay.
setting up a program. Heather's talking to the market about
Great.
getting that program back in order. And I just talked to a donor who again is giving monthly money to supplement the food pantry through the market. So that's
Awesome.
all in the works. So we're trying to hit all the bases on
Great.
making sure that all happens. So that has happened.
Awesome,
Good.
thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thank you. All right, so anything else on food and fuel? I think, again, that's something we have to monitor because the need is changing, is growing, and it's sort of a primary thing. Okay, so that's that. Appointment to the Economic Development Commission. I did go to the meeting last week, and we have gotten communications from Lee Pryor, Arnon Fisher, Richard Bramley, all of whom were there at the meeting, and it was quite a lively, good, interactive meeting. And so I would make a motion that we appoint those 3 people to the commission to fill it up to its proper number.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
There's one other name that you didn't mention that was in here.
Lee Solomon.
Yes.
Yes, Lee Solomon. So we'll do it. Thank you for bringing that up. So she is not a Cornwall resident or a
Right.
voter, and you have to do that, but I have an idea
Okay.
of what we're going
She's
to
an
do.
honorary member, right?
Right,
That
so
was
what
the
we're going to
idea.
do,
Yeah, okay.
what we'll
Good.
try to do is, let's vote on these 3. These will be the official members.
Okay.
So all those in favor of those 3 people on the ECD,
Aye.
Aye.
aye. Do you get those 3, Joyce?
Yeah, Richard, Arnon, and Lee.
Right, and so we did get a request from Lee Solomon, who lives on the Sharon side of the river, but feels great attachment
Yeah.
to this side of the river. And she's recently retired and has a lot of skills. And so even though you have to be a voter to be on the Economic Development Commission, I would like to have her be a special member of the committee.
Sounds like a good idea.
And again, I think it symbolizes our reach beyond our usual boundaries and our need to tap people that volunteer. So,
And she'll
again.
bring ideas, which is great.
right. So, so I'll make that motion. Is there a second to appoint Lee Solomon as a special member of the Economic Development Committee.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have goals 2020. This is just a draft that I came up with today during the storm. So did you get a copy of that? And we, again, don't have to settle on this tonight. And if there are any additions, I'd be more than open to adding more things on here. I'm sure there's things we're gonna have to do that aren't on here. But it sort of hits some of the primary things that, I mean, it's only about the budget, but we have to keep track of the town's spending. So, you know,
Right.
it's nothing about storms. We
I
gotta
mean,
be
I look
prepared.
at this as like a broader, like, you know, goals. I mean, aims,
Right.
not the day-to-day things that we also, of course, have to be on top of.
Right.
Sort of the larger picture.
Mm-hmm.
I like everything you've had in there. I mean, there may be a couple of additions, but
Right, and I tried to put some things with some dates on it, so at least we know.
yeah, I think
We should
that's
be
great.
doing some things on a calendar. Did you see that, Priscilla?
Yes, I did, and I was looking for it, and I haven't found it yet, but I'm sure I've got it here in this pile.
So we can't approve this tonight, or we can do it next, next meeting. I would like to get it into the Chronicle for February, just so that the people that aren't watching all this know we do have
Working
some
on these
ideas and
things,
some
yeah.
plans. So everybody happy with that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then I'd make a motion, we adopt these goals, as of tonight.
But
for
we
the-
can also add to them. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then that's.
Yeah, as of this date, we adopt these goals. And
Okay, great.
Good.
something big happens, we can always add.
Got it.
But also that gives us something to start with and shoot
So
for.
it may be added to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so all those in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't know, Joyce, did you get a second?
Doesn't really, which one wants the second?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Pick a card. Next is the steep grant facade extension. I've been working. We have had a steep grant, which is called the Small Town Economic Assistance Partnership. This is our third round that we've written up grants that have serviced dozens of Cornwall businesses that allows them to apply to a special advisory board for support and funding in improving facades on business buildings. And we've had 3 rounds. We're in our third round. We received a $120,000 grant. We've spent about $70,000 of that in grants. There's about $50,000 left. I got a year extension, so we can get that going. We can receive grants now, and basically this pays for 80% of the first $10,000 of eligible improvements to business buildings and areas. And also we in this last round, we did emphasize barns as an important building architecturally to the town. And so we have helped pay through the state grant for several barns in town to be renovated. So I would encourage people with barns that are visible from the road to apply for the grant, or at least check this out. The details of this are available on the website. And again, we have 2020 to get the rest of these grants done, but it's quite a good thing for businesses to do.
So the 120,000 is based on a grant for a fiscal year?
Well,
or
we
a
got
calendar
it
year?
2 years ago, so we've had 2 years. Over 2 years, we've
Okay.
spent 70,000.
From
And
the
we've-
120.
From the 120, we've done about 9 grants. Not all of them
Got
have
it.
been up to the full amount.
And how often can you apply to get that
Well, what the committee,
replenished?
for this, for the program or for, as an applicant?
As an applicant?
As an applicant, we've restricted it to 1 grant per round per business. So
business, right.
certain businesses have gotten more than 1 grant over a period of time.
Right.
And it also allows nonprofits to do stuff.
Got it. And then per, like, what is the structure of the round? Is it based upon the federal government telling you?
No, it's a state grant.
It's a state grant, okay.
Mhm.
And you can apply for it every
round you can apply.
and a round is a year?
Well, this has been going on for 2 years. We're going to be in the 3rd year of this
Okay.
particular grant.
Got it.
So this
Thank
goes back almost 10 years of us. We started doing this right in the midst of the Great Recession to,
Okay.
give businesses a bit of a boost.
Okay, thank
So, and it's been dozens of businesses
you. Oh,
in the
great.
main parts of town. And if we don't have enough grants probably by midsummer, we'll open it up to everybody that's, to do a second round of this just to make sure the money gets spent.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I think there was a feeling on the committee that we tried to spread it out
Yeah.
throughout town, throughout the business community as much as possible.
Yeah, and it's, okay, so that's
So-
the purpose of the extension.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's good. So anyway, we're gonna try to publicize that in the Chronicle. The town audit is complete, and here it is. And just so people know, it gets done, and this year it goes on for 61 pages. And basically it comes down to that the town did, as is required, end the year with a substantial surplus. Most of that surplus was because we did get more state aid than we had projected we were going to get, and we were successful in recovering several large accounts of taxes that were in arrears. So things look good, and there were no management notes and things, so that's available to anyone that wants to read the town audit. And
Now, with that information, is that where we could get the money for this computer that our registrars want?
so what we would have to, this is just a fiscal report of where we're at financially for last year. So
Okay.
going forward, what we're going to do is, because we can talk about where we get the money when that
Okay.
comes out, but we have to deal with that type of appropriation in this year's money. So this report deals with the fiscal year that ended last June 30th. We're now operating with money
Okay.
that was appropriated for starting July 1st
Okay.
going forward. But it does, if we keep on accumulating surpluses, that allows us as a town to do more projects than if we were down to the last penny every year. So we are in good shape that way. The West Cornwall waste water study, there was the chair, Todd Piker, at its last meeting asked us, the Board of Selectmen, to give some thought to redefining their mission, as we gave them their last mission statement probably 3 years ago, and it was sort of out of date. And as things have changed somewhat, there wanted to be an update. So I put something very briefly together. I did show it to Todd. He liked it. Good. And I didn't know if you folks
Yeah.
felt there needed to be anything else. I tend not to put a lot of extra stuff on this. So,
Yeah.
now's the time.
So now is the time. I feel like the biggest challenge to putting this out there to the town is
Yeah,
location and cost, not
Yeah.
just installation cost, but operating cost.
Yeah.
So when you say bringing the most practical water management system for West Cornwall to a town meeting decision in 2020.
Right.
There's a part of me that would like to, whose responsibility is it? Is it ours to say, this is how much it's going to cost, this is where it is, and this is the operating cost? Or are we going to ask these people that have been working on it for quite a long time to give us their best recommendation on those three things?
Well, I think we're going to have to ultimately come up with something that goes to a town meeting, so we will have the final say on what goes to the town
Okay.
meeting. But I think part of evaluating these alternatives will be in the parameters that you mentioned.
Okay. I just want that to be clear to the public, because I feel like that seems to be what I've been hearing as the sticking point. And it doesn't, I personally don't feel like we're not gonna put that to a vote without knowing those things, but
Right.
I'd like to be very clear that that's something that either we or the committee takes as a priority.
Right, and also communicating this to
Right.
the voters is a big part, and
Right.
that's not necessarily in here, but it's sort of
Right.
implied that perhaps that's one thing that could be polished up a little bit, is a presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I said this is very spare.
No, I know. So I
So-
mean, maybe it's better
So,
to
but
be
I think-
spare, but I don't want to be spare with the idea that that these are considerations that
Right.
that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
No, that's,
So I don't know.
no, the clarity
I mean, we
is what we're
didn't
demanding.
directly say that the committee has to go up with the financial
No,
part.
of
'cause
course
that-
not.
That comes out of the finance office.
Right, so
But
from-
again, generally talking about technology, sites, systems, go out there and look at other towns, what has worked, what hasn't worked.
And then it's sort of up to us to communicate the
Right,
final.
and I would hope they would be able to recommend the
Okay.
most, to settle on a system. And we've gone over that before, but this is not probably going to be, this can't be a multiple choice vote.
No, of course
But
not.
it needs to sort of come up with some consensus of the committee, we would hope. So I did talk to Steve McDonald today, who said they are working through the application, and he's confident they'll be able to get it set for publication he should have it finished by the end of the year. So it should be ready to go for the committee to look at. It's a pretty technical application, and it's taken more time than we thought just to get through the ability to apply.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I just wanted to throw that out there on just to say that at least I understand what people want to see, and
right.
I think we do as well. So
I think we
just wanted
should-
to put that out there.
We want to anticipate the questions. before
Yeah,
the meeting.
exactly. Yeah.
So, and again, we
And
had talked about having, like I mean, these things usually come in different stages.
Of course. So.
And so you have to have your informational meeting, you have to have your town meeting, but even before your informational meeting, we could have a community meeting down in West Cornwall,
Right.
or whatever else we want to do to try to get the word out.
And I think the next sewer meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 14th,
I believe that's
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
5 o'clock
Right.
here at the town hall.
right.
And I think that was when Steve was sure that he would be complete
Right.
with the details. And that was going to be the big application they were
Right.
putting in to see how much we would actually be given by the U.S. Department of
exactly.
Agriculture. Because that's going to be, I think, a major contributor underwriting the initial cost, not the maintenance.
Right.
But the initial cost.
And I think while the USDA is evaluating that, the committee will have a couple months to nail down some of these other outstanding questions.
Okay. So then I guess in that scope, I'm fine with that.
Okay? So do you want to sit on this, work on this till the next meeting, or you happy with it as it sits?
I think I'm happy with it as it sits. I think it's, you don't say much, but what
Right.
you say
Is
is
enough.
clear and succinct.
Right. I mean, our main thing is our job is to get what we think is the best idea to the town meeting. 'cause
Exactly.
ultimately, it's the
Yeah.
town
Exactly.
decision. It's not
Yeah.
up to the committee, it's not up to us, it's up to us to get the best information to the town.
Yeah,
people to
and
decide.
I think it encompasses, the phrasing is all encompassing from the points I raised, so.
And I think what the town requires is that the sewer committee be clear.
Exactly.
And then the selectmen make a recommendation based on all the information we get in.
Yeah. So I'm fine with this as well.
Okay, is that a
Good.
motion to, make a motion to send?
I will make a motion that we go forward with this information on the sewer committee.
Right,
I second.
okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So we'll just say adopted by the Board of Selectmen on this date. Good, and thank them for their work.
Yes.
Okay, so now we have our additions to the agenda. We have the registrars who said, we needed a new computer because their present, did you get all this stuff?
Yes.
So
yeah.
the present computer runs on Windows 7 operating system, and Windows 7 will no longer be supported as of January 10th, 2020, and there are some fairly important elections coming up, I heard. So they pulled together an estimate of $1,648. So what I would do is make a motion that we go to our contingency fund, which we have $30,000 for such unforeseen circumstances for the year, and we haven't dipped into that this year. So that's where we get our money for
Good. So we have it then.
emergencies.
Yes, that's great.
So is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Good, so then that goes to the Board of Finance, and then we get on track
Good.
Great.
into the 2020. Seems like it should be a long way away, but it's coming
2 weeks.
before we know. Okay, next we have a tax refund. Okay. All right, we have one tax refund for $376.83. Overpayment. Overpayment of motor vehicle tax, making multiple duplicate payments online, which can happen to the best of people. So
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we grant this on recommendation of the tax collector.
Second.
And then, next we have
Thank you.
some, we're trying to fill a vacancy in the highway department. We have several applicants, and I would like to try to interview them on Thursday night next, which would be a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen. That we would do that under executive session, as we're hiring personnel. So are people available for Thursday evening? The
Yes.
trade-off is if we get our work done this week.
Is it possible to move it a little bit earlier?
It is possible.
That would be swell.
Okay?
Like even 7 versus 7:30
Okay,
would
we
be
can
very
go.
helpful.
You can tell me anytime. I'm available on
Right.
Thursday.
Okay, we'll go for 7.
That'd be
And-
great.
And
Thanks.
probably what we'll do is have the first interview at 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30. So,
7:30.
yeah, so we're going
No?
to, what?
Oh, we're gonna meet first and then.
Yeah, we'll meet a little
Got
bit
it.
first, because I
Perfect.
think our highway foreman will join us.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
So we'll get on the same
Jim
page.
Bannicky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that would
so-
be helpful to start at 7.
so we probably will be done by 9.
So
Okay.
we'll have what, 2 interviews?
3 interviews.
3
probably.
interviews.
Yeah.
Super, thank you.
You're welcome. So anyway, I'd make a motion, then we'll have a special meeting to do highway interviews at, starting, meeting at 7 o'clock on Thursday night.
Second.
Any discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we'll need to go into executive session to talk about our interview questions and candidates now. So that's the end of the public meeting.
So you're making a motion to go into.
The executive session.
To discuss,
So is there any public comments?
Nope.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, no problem. It'll be up in a few minutes.
Good.